Well, thanks for being here. We'll dive right in and get started with some introductions. Why don't we get started first with you, Tomas? Tell us a little bit about yourself. We know that all three of these companies that are represented here are former Ivory Prize top 10 finalists, and so they have a focus in innovation and the housing affordability space, and all of them have really unique products and companies. So Tomas, why don't you tell us a little bit about ARCS?
Well, hi everyone. My name is, whoa, that's loud, all right. My name is Tomas Garcia. I'm co-founder and CEO of ARCS. ARCS is an automated underwriting platform, so we help home builders with their site selection and due diligence. I know that that's a really, really big topic, so the easiest way that I explain what we do is if you think about what your land act teams or your acquisitions teams are doing on a day-to-day basis, so looking at sites on a site-by-site basis, trying to figure out which ones are going to be the next best deal for you as a builder. We help automate that acquisitions process. So we can deploy a builder's own local understanding of a jurisdiction and their underwriting processes across every single property in their market in advance. So we do mass simulation of the markets.
Thanks, Tomas. Anna, tell us a little bit more about Apis Cor and yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me today. My name is Anna Cheniuntai. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Apis Cor. We build robots to 3D print full-scale concrete houses directly on site. So we basically do a big thing how to automate construction, at least like in the housing industry. My background, I studied space physics, and but always want to be entrepreneur. Right after the graduation, almost dropped out actually, but still managed to do that. I started the business related into the construction, industrial machinery, and robotics together with our co-founder. And this is how basically transitioned to Apis Cor, really significant big thing in the construction. And what we do basically, we want to empower home builders how to build quicker, how to save cost, and how to stop relying on the skilled labor, which is getting way more expensive, hard to find, and how to basically get the housing process into the production rate as we can do this for the cars, but in the factories, for example. For the past 6 years, we achieved a lot of great success pushing this technology into the space. We started with the largest 3D printed building on Earth, which is still Guinness World Record, and that was our first prototype. So, kind of like the hardest thing to start, that was the Guinness World Record. Then we won NASA competition that was more about construction on Moon and Mars, but that was so technically challenged for us. We successfully delivered that, learned a lot, and it's really helped us to keep pushing the industry, how we actually can make it so easy to use here on Earth, because it's also have to be fully autonomous if we really want to disrupt the industry. We also 3D printed a couple of residential and commercial houses and buildings in the United States, fully occupied. And now we're really excited about the next steps. We are preparing to deploy the first pilot projects and houses with the America's largest home builder. Really excited about that. And also a month from now, we're going to start building houses with Habitat for Humanity. So we're basically on the inflection point right now, pushing the technology to the real commercial application with the home builders. That's it.
Fantastic. And Cole, tell us a little bit about yourself and Diamond Age.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cole Young, CEO of Diamond Age. I am an investment banker by trade. Did a bunch of M&A and capital raising in the home building space. And so got to know a lot of folks in the industry. And after telling them what to do for a long time, never having done it myself, decided I should probably go figure out how to do it. So I joined a large builder based out of Toronto and started up a rental division for them doing single-family build-to-rent, multifamily, apartments. So we did everything soup to nuts. We were vertically integrated. Did not like the way the process was done and had an opportunity to jump over to a technology company, and so made that move pretty quickly. When I joined, we were doing something very different. Some of you folks might know us. If you want to come talk to me about that off to the side, happy to have that conversation. But we put the company largely on pause and said, what can we do differently versus what we're doing today that actually makes an impact on the building industry with a product that they're used to seeing today? So over a 90-day period, we challenged the team to say, hey, look, let's design, fab, and construct an automated manufacturing line leveraging robotics to build panelized wall systems. Those walls are not just walls, there's more to them. So we wanted to create more value to the building industry themselves. And so we said, let's go with rough-end MEP, so electrical outlets, light switches, PEX piping, and then let's also do structural / insulation. So we do a closed cell foam on the exterior. That's where we are today. We'll continue to push the envelope, but it's a crawl, walk, run. So you got to start somewhere, and then you'll continue to push that further. The installation on that is coming down. We're right at about 2 days today. We're hoping to get that down to 1. When the line's fully up and functioning, running 2 shifts a day, we're hoping to get about 4 houses off each line.
Fantastic. It's super exciting to see everything coming together. Now, I know that the three of you have partnered in some form or fashion with builders, and I would love to dig into that and those partnerships a little bit and understand more about those partnerships. Anna, I know that you and Apis Cor have partnered with the DR Horton team to build some homes in Florida. Is that right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we received the strategic investment from DR Horton, and also now we're preparing to kick off the first pilot projects in Florida. So that's really tremendous work that we do together to figure out how to really scale up our technology. And if we figure, and when we figure how to do this with America's largest home builder, that's going to be like out of question how we can do it later, right? And what is really amazing about this partnership and the team of DR Horton is awesome and really innovative. And what it's really helped us with is they provide their expertise, and we all the time can come to them and say like, this is what we want to do. Does it really make sense for you, right? Can you give us some of the feedback? And we together basically using their years of expertise to figure out the best approach for us to revolutionize the market. And for the time we spent with them, it's like 10 years spent in the construction value, right? Because they're the best, they know everything. So that's really exciting for us, yeah. And I hope for them too.
How did you initially come in contact with DR?
Well, I think when you build a product that's really advanced and really showing the opportunity for any home builder, and it's really you get into the point where okay, it's not just the cool technology that 3D printing the layers, it's actually the unit economics behind that work. I think you just get into the point when everybody want to talk to you, right? And I don't remember exactly how we met, but it was pretty natural because we were in a really advanced position back then, and I think that it was really right moment, because if they came to us or we met before a year ago, we wouldn't be able to demonstrate, right, the product. It's really important when you start these cooperations with the production builders. You don't want to just talk to them like, oh, this is the nice technology. You actually need to demonstrate how you can integrate into their processes and how you can actually start right away after these conversations and just really go into the details.
That makes a lot of sense. Cole, I know that you guys have partnered at Diamond Age with Century Communities. Can you tell us a little bit about how that partnership got started?
So I'll pivot a little bit and talk more about what you should do to get a partnership, because I inherited it, and I'm thankful that I did have that partnership, because having one is what will ultimately make a prop tech, construction tech, et cetera, company successful. I think as I look at the industry, I've been on all sides of it at this point. I think where folks fall short a lot of times is they come up with what they deem to be a problem, and then they bring it to a home builder and say, hey, look, I solved this problem. And the home builder is going to say, that's not really a problem for us. And so I think what folks should be very cognizant of as you're starting a company, or if you have a company and you're trying to get a partnership, is find a home builder. Every market has small, medium, and large. Probably want to start smaller at first. If it's a problem for them, it may be a problem for the middle guy, and then if it's a problem for him, it may be a problem for the larger one. Those folks will tell you if it's a problem very quickly. If the first guy says no, go to the next one. And over time, you'll start to figure out if what you're trying to solve is actually a problem that they need, or if it's something that they're just going to kick the can down the road. I think the one thing to remember is the business has been around for a very long time, and we all know that there are certain problems, but they're not problems that will impact us today. They are tomorrow's problems. So really finding folks that want to align with the solution that you're creating, and ultimately partnering together to solve that, I think is what will make somebody successful.
Awesome. And then Tomas, kick it to you. I know that you guys transitioned from really working with some smaller scale builders to scaling up and working with some larger builders. Tell us a little bit about that transition and working with builders across the scale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so for us, one of the challenges that we encountered early on with smaller builders was that our product is very technical. It's a very tech-heavy product, and that it is, it's doing a lot of it's not AI, but it's doing a lot of machine learning under the hood. It's doing a lot of statistical analysis. It's doing a lot of what sort of the internal technology teams at larger scale builders are doing, or they're doing on an ongoing basis. And it's a skill set that sort of when we were working with the smaller builders, what we would encounter often is, which large builder is using this product? Because they look to a lot of the people in this room to really set the bar for what types of technologies should be adapted in the industry. So after we were hearing that, to Cole's point, we were talking to a lot of builders. We were getting some, this is really, really interesting, but I need to see use cases first. We actually formed a relationship with one of the largest replacement builders in the country, and they became one of the earliest adopters of our technology. And that has been an extremely fruitful partnership, I think, for both sides. We've learned a huge amount from them and how they conduct their acquisition processes. I think they've learned a huge amount from us on how they can actually implement these technologies and streamline their acquisition processes. So both parties are really, are benefiting tremendously from the relationship. With that said, moving straight from sort of the little guys all the way up to enterprise scale comes with its own hiccups. From a startup perspective, the company bought our core technology, right, which is this automated site selection at scale product. But there are a lot of things that enterprises expect that smaller businesses don't necessarily expect, right? So it's 24-hour service. They're looking at us as more of almost as an advisor, more so than just purely a technology product. And so it's an amazing opportunity for us because we are advising them, but also, we get to learn from them as well. So I think that's one of the best parts about working with sort of the top enterprises is just that opportunity to do knowledge sharing and really build better products for the industry.
We'll stick with you for a minute, Tomas. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you structured those agreements with these larger builders and the smaller builders as well. But how was that? How were your deals structured with them?
Yeah, so we're I think I'm the only technology product on stage. So we're a SaaS product. So we have an annual subscription fee. Folks log into the system. They deploy their plans. They're underwriting at scale, and we do those deployments for them. So when it came time to sort of start to structure our agreement, one of the main priorities was really figuring out something that made sense for both parties. So we didn't start with we didn't really start with any sort of discounted pilot or anything like that. We really were working in the trenches with the ACT team at this large enterprise builder to truly shape the product into something that would really provide true value for them. And once it provided true value for them, to their credit at that point, we signed an agreement, an annual contract. So there was a lot of back and forth. Those agreements do take some time to hammer out, but the majority of most of these SaaS contracts are pretty standard. They're pretty vanilla. So it really was just about identifying what are your business priorities, what are our business priorities, and how do we get to a yes here. So it was relatively quick. It's good.
That's super helpful. And then Cole and Anna, you both have very different physical products. Would love to hear a little bit more about how you would structure those partnerships with the builders that you've worked with. Cole, why don't we start with you and hear a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we're just a building material supplier who happens to self-perform because of the nature of the light gauge steel. So we're under a pure subcontractor agreement with some options on forward communities. So fairly simple.
And then Anna, same question to you. How did you guys structure your contract with DR? Any thoughts on that without, I know you can't go into too many specifics, but would love to hear as well, when you decided to pursue the partnership and what made you feel like you were ready to take that on?
So it took time to collaboratively to look at what we do, what the cost, what the logistics behind that, how it actually can work out with the largest home builder in the United States, what are their processes. There was a lot of collaborative work before we figure out what we want to do together. And that's also great working with the companies like DR Horton. And I know that not all of the companies like that, but you can actually get to the institutional model of working with the customer while you still maintaining the startup model, right, of innovation and operation. And so for us, it was like, okay, we really want to learn from you how we can make it big. And you obviously have the knowledge for that. And that was like a pretty lot of time to figuring this out. We did the pricing exercise. We met with all of the stakeholders, because it's not just the DR Horton or like any other home builder. You also need to figure out how to smoothly integrate this process without disrupting the existing supply chain, without disrupting everything. Because you can't also go to the your customer, special production builder, and say like, everything you did wrong, we know how to fix it. You just don't know anything, right? But actually, it's vice versa. So we came again and like, this is what we do. What do you think about that? We started running the numbers, talking really deeply about every single process, like a day one, hour 1 to 3, what happens on the construction site, what we can replace, and how we actually can do this as smooth as possible. Also needs to be in the process. And then when everybody was like, okay, that makes sense, we probably should, do something together. That was the point when like, yeah, okay, let's do something. And so now for the first project that we're gonna do together, it's not just, show us the technology. print some houses. And actually, the pilot and real houses that are going to be occupied, permitted, and like people going to live there. But it also for all of us together to figure out, okay, we successfully do this in like a 1, 2, 3, 10 houses, something like that. And then that's the preparation, how we go to thousands, right? That's the goal. And then for the pilot project, again, like collaboratively work with them and every single process, because we 3D print the walls, right? It's not the overall construction process. So we need to figure out how to do all of the processes without disrupting their infrastructure, the subcontractors, because our goal is to integrate into the process, because I think it's the only successful way how you want to disrupt the construction industry is how you can actually integrate in this very complex and conservative industry. So that's the idea of our work together. And this is what we're going to do next, figure out how we can build thousands of homes after that first test.
Oh, that's so great. I'm sure that the crowd knows this by now, but I've been so excited about our panel because we have such a diverse panel with diverse experiences in very different companies and very different CEOs and founders. I would love to also, as we wrap up here, just get some closing thoughts on some lessons that you've learned as you've partnered with these builders and any key takeaways that you have. Let's start with you, Tomas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the room is, I don't know what the mix of startup founder to home builder is here, so I'll give 2 lessons, one for each side. So from the startup founder side, it's really, you have to remove your ego from the equation, right? Like you've built something, that something is your baby, and you think very highly of it, but if it doesn't provide actual business value to operators in the field, it's a non-starter. And then so that's kind of my one takeaway for startup founders is you always have to remove your ego from the equation, find what the true problems are that your customer base has, and then solve those real problems and demonstrate that value. And then on the flip side of things, to the operators in the room, we would not be where we are today if it weren't for the generosity of several operators who have given us their time. So it's really hard to build a product in a silo. I used to flip houses, so actually I built the first version of our tech to help myself. But it's really hard to build a problem in a silo without feedback from users who are actually experiencing that problem on a day-to-day basis. So one of the things that I am tremendously grateful for are the large enterprise builders who give me their time, their most valuable resource, and they'll have a conversation with me. They might not know that much about the specific topic or the specific problem that we're working on, but they say this is interesting. Let me see if I can put you in front of somebody who does know this area really well. And we've had tons and tons of conversations in that vein, and that has helped the product get to a place where it now provides tremendous value for the home building community. So that would be my ask of the operators in the room is if you can be generous with your time, it will come back to benefit you in the future.
Cole, how about you? What did you learn from your first pilot with Century, and how is that informing your strategy with Diamond Age moving forward?
I want to pivot a little bit. I'm going to give some feedback to the 3 groups in the room. So you have your entrepreneurs or your startup founders here. Be humble and work with your partners to figure out what the problems are. You have your builders and your building material folks in the room. Lean into the pilot projects. Without them, we're going to be doing the same thing over and over again. And if you like it, put money behind it because it only benefits you when it wins. And to the venture folks, if you're not comfortable with the intersection of hardware and software, you're probably in the wrong room. So get comfortable with that because SaaS has kind of run its course. And in order to create real technological advantage within construction, home building, et cetera, you're going to have to get comfortable with hardware being part of the software.
Anna, you're certainly in the thick of it right now. What are some key takeaways and lessons learned with your partnership?
So I would say it's really like when you're doing the new technology that never existed before, you can find a lot of angles of your technology be integrated in the different customers and the different value propositions that it can bring. And you can't really figure out it just alone. You really need to speak with all of the builders and players in the industry. So that was really great with the DR Horton. But also, we have a project with the Habitat for Humanity. They also production builders, actually. They built like a huge amount of stock of houses, housing stock in the country. And with them, we also structured the deal like, okay, this is what we can do. We don't know what exactly your needs right now, because they also didn't know that. They're like, we want to have a very resilient homes. We want to rebuild the communities, or we want to really reduce the cost, but at the same time, we have access to labor because it's communities build the houses, right? And we're like, okay, we also need to see what's your particular designs of the houses, what your people who are going to be living in the houses, what they really want from the houses, right? How it should be designed. And we also structured the first project with them as like, let's all figure this out. We built first 2 houses in Melbourne, Florida in late October. You see how everything works. You put your hands on it, and all of the people who are involved in the process have experience with that. We're not going to say like, oh, that's going to be like a 50% less expensive, because it may be not like that, right? And like once you promise something that doesn't happen for many different reasons, then it's kind of like harder to like overcome it. So we say like, let's do the collaborative project again together. Of course, we paid, everybody paid, but the goal is again to figure out for all of the people involved in the project how it can work for everyone, and everyone can test it. So I would say like, yeah, if you do the new technology and it's never existed before, first projects should be paid, of course, but also has to be highly cooperative, because what you learned from your first customers, it can substantially improve your business model, and it even like it can make your go-to-market strategy and ways how you make money with this technology so differently and so lucrative that you probably wouldn't ever like figure out without the first customers like that. Actually have a huge experience in the industry. So yeah, just collaboration. I believe in the partnership and collaborations. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then we have a chance for just one last rapid fire question as far as what's your key takeaway? What's the one lesson learned that you would pass along to the rest of the room as far as partnering with builders or building from a founding standpoint? I know you guys touched on this a little bit, but what's the one item that really sticks out to you, Tomas?
I mean, try new things. If you think something might provide value to your business, scratch deeper than the surface. Have a half-an-hour conversation. I think that half-an-hour conversations go very, very, very far distances. That's my takeaway.
Cool.
Be open-minded and solve problems collaboratively.
Anna.
When you build the technology, think about like how you're going to make money with this. So that's actually going to put a lot of foundation how you even design the technology that you have. And it's something that we are really proud of, that since day one, we were like, no, we need to create the really specialized equipment from scratch. It's never existed before. Yes, it's going to be very capital intensive. Maybe it's not going to work out. But if it's going to work out, that's going to be the game changer for the entire industry. Instead of repurposing the existing equipment that already was in the 3D printing housing industry before, we were like, it doesn't make sense. Why we need to spend time on it, right? So you have to take risk and develop a new technology. And it's also, I think, something that investors also need to understand. If you really want to do the revolution, you can't really do the revolution with the existing solutions, or like innovation doesn't come in from the repurposing. You need to take risk and, real risk, and then you put money into the technology that really can revolutionize and change the existing process and like how everything works. But that's going to be way more lucrative on the long run for like a millennia ahead of time, if you really figure out the right core technology, instead of like trying to chase something that's easy to deploy, easy to do. Like, well, why we need to spend a lot of money if we just can, take existing equipment and just put it into field and start printing houses? Unfortunately, it didn't work out, because yeah, you have to create specialized equipment. This is why we never send the standard car to the Mars, right? We actually created the Mars rover, right? So yeah, you have to take risk with the new technologies and build something exceptionally specialized that can be laser focused on the particular problem, and then you spread out from there.
Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you coming up and joining us and sharing your experiences. Why don't we give them all a round of applause?